Welcome to La Verdad Duele. What is that? The truth. The truth that hurts. Even though we're not intending to hurt anybody's feelings, we know that we may share information that many people have strong opinions on. This is solely based on the fact that we love sharing information and we love passing down knowledge. And this podcast is all about that. And we hope you can enjoy that. Let's get to it. All right. Welcome, Puyaka Puyaka. I'm your host, Tijani Musa, and today in the studio, I have a friend of mine. Man, this is going to be fun. I have a friend of mine that I met when I was in South Korea, and I was in South Korea to study abroad, and I met him there, and this guy, we played basketball together, we played soccer together. We actually won a soccer championship when I was in South Korea, and since 2014, when I was in South Korea, I just have stayed in touch with him. He's a great guy. And without telling you exactly what he's going to talk about, I'm going to ask him questions about how a man from Cameroon made it to South Korea and his experiences in South Korea. Those are the things we're going to talk about. So I'm going to introduce my guest. His name is Allan Ambe. Allan he was a student in South Korea when I met him. He graduated 2 years ago with a degree in computer science, and now he is working as a web developer in South Korea. Allan is also an aspiring model, and he is doing his modeling in South Korea on top of also working full-time web developer job. Welcome to La Verdad Duele, Allan.
Puyaka Puyaka. My name, I'm Alan, and it's great. It's great to have you. It's great to talk to you, Tijani. It's been so long.
Yeah, man, it's been a while since 2014 when I first met you in South Korea. How you been?
Yeah, I've been doing really well. I can't believe it's been 5 years. Like, it feels like it's been like a couple of months ago, but it's been 5 years since we finally, like, since last we met in South Korea. It was so much fun back then. We usually played soccer and played basketball. Like, I remember those days like it was just yesterday. Like, we had so much fun in the Korean campus.
Yeah, it's been real. And I forgot to mention you actually graduated from State University of New York Korean campus.
Yeah, so actually it's an American university. So the main campus was in New York. So and then they opened the campus in Korea. So the reason they opened the campus in Korea is because like a lot of Asian students like moved to the U.S. to study, but uh, going back and forth, like coming back to Korea for vacations and going back to the U.S. for your next semester, it was so hard. So they opened the campus here in Korea. It's the same curriculum, it's the same degree, the professors are the same, are almost the same, and everything is almost the same. Just the living expenses are much more like uh, cheaper for the students who study here. Uh, so I studied there for 4 years, and I went to New York for 1 year, part of for part of my studies. And actually, I just graduated like 2 years ago.
Yep. So before we get into that, let's take it back in the
Sure,
beginning. You
sure.
grow up in Cameroon, Central
Yeah,
Africa. Tell us
yeah.
about growing up in Central Africa, Cameroon.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, like, I was like one of the privileged ones, like, so my dad had like a stable, better job, and you know, so I actually went to boarding school, and then after boarding school, like over there, like usually, like when you're done with like high school, like the options, like not a lot of options. Uh, so actually, like, so the Korean embassy had like options for like scholarships to like study in Korea. Like, so I looked at it, and the option was really like the opportunity was there. So I just applied, and then about 2 weeks later, I got a call, and they were like, "Oh, you got the scholarship, to study in this university, and they would like sponsor me there, and I was like, oh, this is great. I didn't know about Korea, like I didn't know the language, I didn't know anything about Korea. I was like, I just want to like do this, take an adventure, and then it changed my life forever.
Yeah, so that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So how did you know about the Korean embassy? How did you get that connection in Cameroon?
So actually, one of my teachers back like in secondary school uh, used to work there, and it was actually like one of my favorite teachers. So I got recommended. So she recommended me like to apply there. She was like, "Oh, yeah, I really like your grades. Your grades are good. I think you would if you do this, you're gonna get it." So so I got the recommendation from her actually.
Wow,
So
that's amazing, man.
yeah,
That's amazing. She practically changed your life. She saw an
yeah,
opportunity for a
yeah,
young African guy, young African boy, and then said,
yeah.
"Hey, you need to apply for this opportunity." And one thing led to the other, and then you landed in South Korea. How was it leaving your family in Cameroon to come to South Korea?
It was crazy. So first of all, like back there, like it's it's normal, like going abroad, like like to study or like for masters for university. But I never knew anything about Korea, and back then this was like 5 years ago, and uh, Korea is not famous, I mean, Europe or like the US or other places that are like famous, but Korea is it's is you don't really know much about studying in Korea. First, because the language doesn't attract a lot of international students to stay here. So uh, it was like just a new adventure, and it was so I was scared because I was young, and but my dad just he just told me that just do this, and you wouldn't regret that, because he actually has been looking at Korea, like the trends, how they changed their economy from like really really poor to like really really rich economy. So he told me like, oh, just try this out, and then you can do it, because like he trusts me. So just the fact that I knew that, oh, if my dad like he's not scared about me leaving all by myself, if he like can trust me like that, then uh, I can do it. So that's what gave me like the courage to like move all the way, like, and then come here and start a new life.
Wow, that's amazing. So, do you have like siblings? Do you have brothers and sisters? What was their reaction?
Sure. So actually, my siblings are all over the place. So my little brother, he studies in Germany, and my sister, she's doing a medical program right now in Uganda. That's like one of the medical schools there. So, but when I left, we were all together back then. That was 5 years ago. So no one left. I was like the first. I was like the first one to leave, right? So it was like they were kind of like happy for me, because back then the goal was to get out and go somewhere and make to make and make just be better, just go somewhere that's better and where you can have more opportunities and like do something good.
Yeah, it's definitely. I definitely understand where you're coming from because when you are in Africa, the opportunities are sometimes, even though the opportunities should be there, but they are not there. And for the
Yeah, yeah.
opportunities that are there, they are there for people that are already up there, the president's kids, the people that
Yep.
work with the president. So opportunities are very limited. And so when you have an opportunity to change your life, your siblings are happy and proud of you because now they know that you are a good example to them, correct?
Yep, 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 exactly. So actually there's like these universities that you have to write the exams to get into. But all these universities, when you write the exams to get into, it's just a waste of time because uh, when you all write the exams, the least of those who pass the exams, they're just people up there, the presidents or the ministers or like, those people who have high positions in the government. They just put the kids or they put the people they know, they put all of them and then they get into the good schools and then they're the only ones that make it. The rest the rest of the people can do anything.
It's sad. It's sad and unfortunate. All right. So
Yeah.
now you grew up in Cameroon, a young boy. You used to play soccer and whatnot. And then you finally got the opportunity through a connection from your teacher. And then you landed in South Korea. What was your first impression of South Korea? How was your reaction?
Oh man, like so firstly like I landed in the airport, the airport was so was crazy. Like it was high end, So the first thing I could realize is that the country was just so technologically advanced, so much that uh, just at that point you could know that they're really hardworking people because everything just moves so fast compared to like what I was used to before. Everything is fast, and the service is so convenient. So from the airport to the roads to the transport system, and then I got to my campus, and then just from the campus, and I started like meeting people, like talking to meeting new friends, and then the the school the school administration. So I realized that they're really really nice people because from talking to someone, they're so like curious. They want to know more about you, about your life, your story, like where you're from, what you want to do. So I got to make a lot of friends, just as soon as I got here, like a month, like after a month, I made a lot of friends.
Wow. All right. So a young man traveling from Africa to South Korea. How did you? How were you communicating with people? You speak French, do you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I speak French. Like I mean, I forgot most of it right now because I haven't spoken that for like 5 years.
Yeah,
But
man. That's how language is.
that's how, yeah. So so actually, the good thing is, like I'm kind of bilingual, so I speak like English, French, but then like in Korea, like when I got here, I couldn't speak any Korean, so I didn't even know how to say my introduce myself, So that was the hard part. Like I go to a convenience store and then I want to get something, but then I don't know how to say that, or I get into a taxi, or you know I go into a restaurant, or I'm just walking around and then I really want to talk. I really want to interact with people, but you can't you can't really do it because you're limited by the language. So there's
Right.
a language barrier, and then so my first semester here was like really really hectic because I couldn't communicate with people, and I realized like the most important thing, one of the most important things, like if you travel or if you go to a new place, is communication. Like the language is like the first priority. So I realized like if I want to keep staying here, I would need to study the language. So I uh, I enrolled into like a language program for like 1 semester, and then I did that, and then at least I could, I got the basics. I could read, I could write. It was pretty hard, because like coming from it's completely new whole thing. So I started from the basics, and then I learned how to read, I learned how to write, I learned how to introduce myself, I learned how to write my name in Korean. So I just started there, and then I couldn't do much because my school, I had to integrate my school because I studied in English. I didn't study in Korean, so that was a good thing. But then I needed more time uh, from my classes to study Korean. So I did both. I studied in university and then I studied Korean on the side. So, but I got better with time, and then luckily now I can like speak a little bit.
Well, no, you are not speaking a little bit. You know Korean very well, man. Don't try to
Actually,
don't try to be humble over here. You know Korean very well. Matter of fact, let's test your Korean right now. Say I want you to repeat this in Korean.
yeah.
My name is my name is Alan, and I am from Cameroon, and I live in Korea.
오케이, 저는 알란입니다. 전 카메룬에서 왔습니다. 그리고 지금 한국에 살고 있습니다.
You see?
That's the formal way. Like, so Korean language has a formal way to speak. So when I'm speaking Korean with someone that's older than me, and when I speak Korean with someone that's younger than me, the words I use and the pronunciation is different. So
Okay. And
yeah.
and say the same thing, but you're talking to your friend.
Oh, oh, when I'm talking to my friend. Okay, let me say. Let me just say something like. Oh. Okay. 안녕하세요. 저는 알란이에요.
So that's
So,
saying,
so
hello, I'm Alan.
yeah, 안녕하세요. 저는 알란이에요. So that's the formal way. But if I'm talking to my friend, I say 안녕. 저는 알란.
Huh. I see. Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's very good. So let's go back to the Korean language.
Yes.
So where did you, because when I met you in 2014, I asked you, you said you learned some of the Korean language through watching TV shows and
Sure. Yeah.
anime. So how did you learn the Korean language?
So firstly, I my first after my first semester, I did a Korean course to learn the basics. So you really like you. It's so hard to learn the basics. That's the most important part, and then that's the hardest part of Korean language, like the basics, like the reading, like the letters, and then writing. That's the basic part. But so after learning that, I learned that for 3 months. But then after learning that, so after 3 months, I started like watching some Korean, shows, some Korean dramas, and then I would turn off the English subtitles and put the Korean subtitles, and then I would watch, just that, and then try to repeat or try to understand the words from there, and then that's how my listening skills got better, and then I realized that I could listen more. Like when someone says something, I could realize what they're saying, and then I could understand that more, and then so my listening skills got better, and then my speaking skills got better because I understood what they said. So from the shows, you see what's going on, and then I had a notebook. I would just jot a few new words that I knew, and then later come back to the new words and then read, try to memorize them. So that's how my speaking skills got better.
Wow. All right. So that is impressive, man. And so, how long did you think that it took you to improve on your reading skill, improve on your listening, and your speaking skill? How many months do you think that took you to get to a place where you're comfortable to go to the store and order something or to take the bus or metro?
Oh, so basically, the first time I started learning, I started with the basics. So I learned that for 3 months. So after I took an intensive course. So that's what I would recommend anyone who wants to study Korean. So if you want to study Korean, I would recommend you just to take a Korean language intensive course. You can do that online, or you can enroll yourself into a Korean program or a Korean language institute. But uh, I think it's a good way to learn fast, and then with that you can like easily you know what you're doing. But then after that, I started like watching this Korean dramas and then all the shows for like 3 more months. But then I wasn't studying in a Korean language school, so I couldn't learn anything more except from what I was learning from the shows. But then that was 3 more months. I couldn't do that. And then 6 months later, I started 6 months. 6 months later, I studied again for 1 more semester in a Korean language institute. So I would say in total it took me a year. So after a year, I was like a little bit comfortable. Like I could go to the store, I could take a bus, I could buy something, I could talk freely with people who couldn't speak English. So I think it took me about a year.
Wow, that's impressive. And you were patient throughout this time, and then you took your time. And like you said, when you're learning a new language, the foundation, the basic, are those are very important because those are the
Yeah,
fundamentals that will put you in a place where within a year you're able to speak that language. That's amazing. And
yeah.
so, what was your how did you react to the food?
Oh, that's the good part. So actually, so coming into Korea, I was a little bit scared because I don't eat seafood, and looking at Korea from the map, you see that Korea is like a peninsula. It's surrounded by water. So
Right.
my understanding was that 80% or 70% of the food in Korea is going to involve seafood, and then I was worried about that. But then when I got to Korea, I realized they eat a lot of meat, and they eat a lot of pork, and they eat a lot of chicken, and they uh they eat a lot of like good vegetables too. So I'm not like a vegetarian, or I don't have a special diet. I just have like a particular food that I'll eat. But in general, I really like the Korean food. Like the first food I actually got in Korea was like takalbi. It's like roasted chicken. It's a little bit spicy, but it tastes really good. So I like those kind of food. But I was a little bit uncomfortable with like the side dishes, because Korea, like in the Western culture, you just get a plate of food and then you can eat that. But in Korea, it's so different. In Korea, it's like you get the main dish, and then you get about eight different side dishes, like
Yep.
just on the side, and then it's it's so different. Like you can't choose that. Like it always comes with the menu. Like you can't
Right.
tell them not to give it. Like they always bring it. And then so I come from like I come from a culture where if you get food, you just have to eat all of it,
That's
or
right.
you have to eat everything. So I get a little bit uncomfortable every time I leave someone's house, or I leave the restaurant, and then I left all the side dishes untouched. So it's like I didn't really want to try to taste it, or I didn't want to interact with the food, but it's just the side dishes are a little bit not my taste. I never got used to that. I've been here more than 5 years. I never got used to the Thai food. Like, but I really like most of the Korean food. It's good. It could be spicy sometimes, but I really love it.
Wow. Yeah, for sure, man. I remember when I got there, I'll go to restaurants. By the time I finish eating the side dishes, I don't have enough room to eat the main course.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, so now that we've talked about the barriers that you faced when you went to South Korea, and now you're at a place where you're comfortable and you did your studies, you finished your studies uh, two years ago. Why did you stay in South Korea? What are you still there doing there?
So so in between my studies, so my campus you have to take a year, and then you have to study in Long Island, like the New York main campus. So after studying there, you have to come back. And actually, my campus has two options. You either graduate in the Korean campus, or you graduate in the main campus of Korea. But so a year before my graduation, right, I realized like, uh, I started having fun in Korea, and then I realized, I can do like a lot of different things. And then I started doing a lot of things. I started modeling. I started doing acting. I started doing like music, like videos. So I got interested into stuff like fashion. I got interested into acting. I got interested, things that had no relation with my major. I think one of the reasons I started doing this was because so my third, I studied computer science for 2 years, but then after 3 years, I realized that I really don't, I really don't want to do this for the rest of my life, or I really don't want to, leave school and then get into like coding or programming in like a company and keep having a hard time because I had a hard time studying this in school. And then leaving school, you leave in university, you go to work, you get a job, and then you have a hard time. So that's one of the reasons. And then the other reason was like, so the campus, my campus here in Korea, they opened a fashion institute. So this fashion institute, like they had a fashion show, and they were like, oh, we're looking for, people to come and like, to just walk and like model for this fashion show. And I never did something like that. So I was like, oh, I don't mind trying it. And then so I did that show, and luckily enough, like that show was really famous, and it was shown on like TV, and then even like social media everywhere. So a lot of brands and a lot of photographers, like they took note of most of the models from there. And then so after that, like a week later, I started getting like a lot of contacts. Suddenly like either through like Kakao Talk. So Kakao Talk is like the main messaging service here in Korea. So I started getting like a lot of contacts like Instagram or Kakao Talk asking me, to help, like come do like modeling or come and do like a video, like we're doing like either like a photo shoot or we're doing like an extra for a certain Korean drama that needed a role where they either needed a foreigner or they needed a black person or, some, just extra roles and like photo shoots and stuff like that. So I started doing that. So I started doing that just, I didn't have time for, because I had classes Monday to Friday. So I started doing it only on the weekends because I could get extra money with that. But then I realized, oh, like it was fun, and then I kept doing it. I kept doing it, and so after my last year in Korea, one of the main reasons I stayed in Korea was because I realized, oh, I could do just so much more in Korea, not just computer, not just stuff related to my computer science, but I started getting interested in the Korean fashion trends, and I started getting interested in like Korea, Korean movie and Korean fashion world. So I just wanted to do something different, something completely different from what I studied. So yeah, so I've been here now 2 years later after graduating.
Man, you are. First of all, let's talk more about your modeling.
Yeah,
But before we talk about that, I want to know: do you have an agent who represents you?
yeah. So I did have an agency before. So like 2 months before graduating, I got an agent, but then I stayed with the agent for like a year because so what the reason I left the agency was because I got cut like from what I got paid. I got cut like 60% of it went to like the agency. So if I do a job and the agency gets like 60% of that, and the agency didn't want me to get other jobs. So I was in an agency for like a year, and then 1 year later I decided to go freelance. So I went freelance, and then um so now I do freelance, and also I do web development. And then like a few months ago I started learning DJing, and then so I kind of do modeling now and DJing, and also I do web development.
Man, you're so all over the place. I love it. You're so creative. So now you represent yourself.
Yeah, now I represent myself. Yeah.
And what's the name of the Korean agency that you model for?
It's called Platinum. It's Platinum. Like it has a lot of it has a bad reputation here among like most of the foreign models in Korea, but I don't wanna talk so much bad about them because they actually helped me a lot. But
Okay. But your experience is different from other models. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
even though they have a bad reputation, but you have a different experience with them.
Yeah, I have a different experience with them. I have a good experience with them, but the only reason I left them was because they they cut off like 60% of what I got. That's normal with every agency all over, like everywhere. It's a normal thing. Like I knew that before, like signing a contract with them, but I just realized that I could have more control about my time, and then I could have more control about what I get, like my rates, or uh what kind of
Okay.
jobs I want to do. I
Yeah.
could be more selective with that. But with an agency, if they ask you to do a job like go they need like a black person to represent like some shooting or some some crime, typical black stereotype. The agency asks you to do that. You can do that. But if
You
I'm
can't say
freelance
no.
by myself, I can't say no.
Right.
I can't say no because they're Asian. They would they give me jobs for a month. So if I say no to that, I may like lose working with them forever. But I realized that on myself, I could be more selective. I could. I don't want to make the black stereotype like give them what they want. I want them to know that like it's not just like black people. It's not just what they see like on music videos, or that's not actually what black culture is about.
Right.
So I'm actually like a little bit more selective about the jobs that I do. So that's one of the main reasons I represent myself.
That is awesome. That is awesome. You're very socially conscious, and you understand the magnitude of how industries represent
Yep.
black people, especially in South Korea. South Korea
Yep.
is not as diverse. It's still a very new country in terms of diversity, in terms of accepting different cultures, in terms of being tolerant to different racial ethnicities, and
Oh
so it's
yes.
different in that regard. So it's very smart of you to go freelancing and doing your own thing. Do you have your own company? Are you trademarked?
No, I'm not. I'm not trademarked, but uh, so right now, and it's in Korea, it's not that serious. You don't really need to have your own company to represent yourself. You can just do it like as a freelance or something that you're doing by yourself. You don't need as long as you have the right working documents, the working visa. If you have the right documentation where you can work legally, then you don't need all of that. I just want to go back to what you said before, Tijani, like about like Korea and like the homogeneity. So actually, Korea is like really homogeneous. Like, so if you come to Korea, like it's not diverse at all. Like, so 5 years ago compared to today is a little bit different. But like you said, the representation of black people, like they have a lot of stereotypes, but it gets better, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Just so last week there was a group of high school students that just did a blackface uh, because they were trying to do a meme of the four guys from Ghana that had the coffin. So they were doing the meme, and then on the graduation day they did the blackface, and then a really famous uh, black entertainer here in Korea. He's called Sam Uchiri. This happened actually last night. So
Mm.
he wrote a post on Instagram talking about the students and saying, "Oh, this you shouldn't do this. This shouldn't be done. Like you shouldn't do the blackface. Like with all that's going on, like this is something that the students need to learn that it is not okay to do this." So after posting that on Instagram, he got huge backlash from a lot of people. That so the reason they said he shouldn't say something like that because those were high school students. But uh, so
What?
on the other, yeah, this happened actually last night. I was just looking at it before this podcast. So he had to delete the post, and then he had to write an apology on his Instagram. This is actually, I think you know him. He's Sam Ocho, like he's a really famous entertainer here in Korea. Actually, he never speaks about stuff like this. He never speaks about social injustice. He never speaks about you know racial. But this because this was a really serious thing that keeps happening every month. So this either like a talk show program or like a TV program comes out in Korea, and then you see like they do the blackface or they make something racial, and then so this time he actually spoke about it, and then he got huge backlash from a lot of people like condemning him, and yeah, this is
Wow. So he had to apologize instead of the students apologizing to him?
he had to apologize for talking bad on the students. So he actually, if you go to his Instagram, you can go to his Instagram after this and then see his apology. Like he has to apologize, saying that he didn't mean to talk bad about the students, or he didn't mean to do something like that. He had to apologize instead of the school or the students or the whole group that did this to apologize. He instead had to apologize for condemning that.
Wow, that is
Yeah,
insane. Yeah,
yeah,
that's exactly what it is because like you said, if you represent yourself and you speak out against things like that, nobody can come and chase you because
exactly,
you're representing
exactly,
yourself.
exactly. So I think one of the reasons he apologized is because he's doing a lot of he's doing a lot of TV shows right now. He does a lot of talk shows. So with this, like he can lose he
Sponsorship.
can lose sponsorship, and he can
Yeah.
lose all of like all the sponsorships. He can lose all these deals that he has with these programs and these talk shows. So that's one of the advantages of like representing yourself. It's a little bit harder to get jobs, and it's a little bit more hard to make negotiations and all of that. But in the long run, it's better.
Right. Right. In the long run, it's better for you because now you can actually do the jobs that you feel that represent your values and you can do those jobs and you can say no to something that you're against.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Wow, that's insane. And speak to us about your DJing. Where do you DJ? Do you DJ at parties, birthday parties, or do you DJ at the club?
So I started DJing last year. Uh, I had a really good teacher, and then he taught me how to DJ like typical Korean EDM style music. That's actually not what I listen to, but the reason he wanted me to learn that is because he said, "Oh, that's what's famous," and it's gonna be. He wanted to. Uh, I actually signed a contract with him for like 5 years, but uh,
Wait, hold on. Hold on. You signed a contract with him for 5 years. What does that mean?
so I signed a DJing contract with him for 5 years. So I used to do so last year I used to do like festivals, like university festivals. We went. I had a DJ partner, and then uh we would do DJ gigs, and then I'll be like the hype man, and then I'll DJ on the side, and
Right.
then so we did that every month. So that was what the contract was for. Like every month I'll do like those festivals. But so I did that last year, and then I learned more. I got better, but then Corona came in, and then so Corona started in Korea like I think in March, really really seriously, and then everything got canceled. So I'm taking a break from that right now, but uh, I don't know when I would go
Okay.
back into DJing. For.
Do you have your own DJ set or the guy provides that?
So we actually have a studio. Uh, so we have a studio in
Uh-huh.
in Seoul. It's near the Hongdae area. I think that's like one
Yeah.
of the famous places where. So he actually owns a lot of. He owns like bars. He owns clubs in that area. So when I was learning, I used to DJ in the club like back and forth. But he told me like he didn't want me to become like a club DJ because when you when you become a club DJ, you just end up a club DJ. He wanted me. He had like really, good good dreams for me. He wanted me to do like these festivals, like university festivals, like big festivals, like ultra festivals, like the big EDM festivals where they get thousands of people and like they bring a lot of DJs abroad. They hire a lot
Right.
of DJs abroad to come to those. So those are the kind of festivals that he wanted me to do. So and he had a lot of contacts into these festivals. So uh, I think uh, I think after Corona, uh, we're gonna get back to that.
That's amazing. So I picture you being at Busan at the beach, having thousands and thousands of people partying, and Alan is
Yeah,
hyping the crowd. That's what you're doing.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm doing actually. Yeah. So so I hype. So there's so our concept. We actually made a concept, and it was really actually cool. So I had a DJ partner, and she's a Korean female DJ, and I'm the other partner. So she DJs and then I hype the crowd, and then I go back and I DJ and then she hypes the crowd. So we do back and forth like that. And then I think you saw the festival that I did in the university. It was really cool. And we do that for just within 30 minutes. You keep talking and shouting and DJing and shouting just for 30 minutes, but it's so much fun. So that's actually one of the most fun things I did.
Wow. Have you met any popular K-pop artists?
Yeah, yeah. So I just within the short while I was DJing, I actually met a lot of famous people. Like I met like rappers, like I met Korean artists like Loopy and a guy's Crush. I met a lot of Korean artists.
Very good. Very good. All right. So, since we were talking about racial injustices and racial biases and whatnot in South Korea, when you came to the United States that one year you were here in New York, what was your impression of being in the US?
Oh, it was it was just a whole, you know, it was different because so actually my university campus was like out of New York City in Long Island. That's like an empty. It's like calm and less people and it's like outskirts. But then like the New York City, like I realized like uh it's actually really this so let's go back to my university. So I realized that even though my university was really diverse, uh there's all these different groups. So I realized, oh, the black people like they all eat this way, and the Latinas all eat this way, and the Asians all eat there, and then the Indians all eat there. So my expectations of diversity uh became something different. I realized, oh, it's diverse, but diversely separated. And then inside the black group, there's always this one white guy or one person, or inside the Asian group, there's one white girl, and then inside this brown group, there's like one, someone else. So it was my experience was so much fun because unlike Korea, I mean Korea sometimes I like the fact that you just you wherever you go you become like the how can I put it? I don't want to say like celebrity, but you like the point of attention. But
Hmm.
sometimes it's fun. You just want to like talk to people or but sometimes you just want to you don't want to get attention from people. And most of the times instead they look down on you instead of looking at you like someone that's different.
Right.
So there's the good part of it and there's the bad part. But in the States, no one you're not you're not the only black guy. You would never ever wherever you go you cannot be the only black guy there. You like in the train or wherever you go there's other people like you. So that's fun. because you understand that, oh, there's people like me here, there's people like me here, and there's people like me here. But like here, sometimes you go to, I've been to like cities in Korea where in the whole like area, in the whole city, like there's no black person, like, or like a lot of people there have never met a black person. So that's like one of the differences, you know.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, in the United States, we have our own problems with being a black person in the United States. But in
Yeah,
terms of diversity, the things that you're describing in South Korea at lunchtime, when you only have this group of people sitting there, and then you have one sprinkle of a different person in that group,
yeah,
it's very hard to see here in the United States. I mean,
yeah,
we do have our cliques, we have our friends that we hang out with, we have people that we're comfortable with, but in terms of diversity, when you go to schools in the United States, depending on where you are in the United States, the diversity is amazing here. You
yeah,
see
yeah,
different
yeah.
people, different
Diversity is
food.
amazing.
Yes.
Different,
But
food, different like people, different cultures. It's amazing. It's
yeah, so
it's
that
it's
is one of
cool.
the perks of here living in the United States in
Yes,
terms of diversity. Like
yes,
like I mentioned, we have our own problems with being
yes,
black here in the United States, but it's different from South Korea. So now that
yes.
we've talked about so did you like the food here in the United States?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, the food was so good. Like I wouldn't compare that with like Korean food, but you know, uh, I would rather go with that than Korean food because it's more used to like African food that I know. Because that's what I mostly add something that's is closer to food that I ate when I was a kid. So just talking about the diversity stuff. I just want to talk about like one more thing, like the security and safety. So uh, compared to Korea, like Korea is way more safer, like especially as a black person, like walking at night, or driving and then being stopped by like the cops or someone racially profiling you, stuff like that, and just safety in general. I think Korea is way more safer a place to live in.
I think I agree with you because when I was in South Korea, I see young kids on the streets at night hanging out
Yeah,
and they have
yeah,
no issues. The parents are not even worried about that. It reminds me of when I was in Africa. Your parents have no issues about you being at night on the streets because they know you're safe. Nobody's going to
yeah,
kidnap you, nobody's going to kill you. And
yeah,
compared to the United States, if you're
yeah,
wearing a hoodie and you are working
yeah,
at night, people are scared
yeah.
of you.
They're
And if
scared
you're
of
in the
you.
stores, people are following you around, asking you a bunch of questions. You need
Yeah,
help? You need help? No, I don't need help. If I need help, I'll ask you.
yes, yes, exactly.
It's insane. But now that we've talked about how so say a young person growing up in Cameroon or anywhere in Africa
Yes.
wants to study in Korea, what would you tell them?
So there's a lot of options. So I would recommend that though. But the first thing I would tell the person is to study the language because you know when you know the language, that's where every other opportunity comes in. Because just from the Korean language, you can get way more opportunities. Like you can get opportunities to get into like one of the top, really top universities in Korea. You can get opportunities to get way better scholarships. You can get all these opportunities. So I think the most important thing is the Korean language. So I would tell them to start with the language. So I would say like apply, just keep applying, apply for like certain schools, apply for schools. And then when you finally get the admission, when you finally get the admission or you get a scholarship, and then I would say when you start studying in Korea, like start with the language. Just sacrifice like a year, and then when you know the language, you can go from there.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I like it. And so recommending Korea to a young person who wants to come and study there, that's a really good take, learning the language before
Yes.
you come to Korea. So with your experience, is all of your school covered by Korea? How much did you have to pay?
So for my experience, my I had a 100% scholarship, but then I had to pay like certain for like the living expenses. I had to pay. I had to take care of my personal living, and then just my living expenses, but the tuition and everything was covered by the school.
Okay.
So
That's very good. That's very
yeah,
good. So,
yeah.
what is your goal now? 5 years from now, now that you've signed a 5 year contract with being a DJ, that means you're gonna be in Korea for at least another 5 years. What is
No,
your
no, no,
goal? What's
no. So,
what's next for you?
so I signed the 5 year contract, but it doesn't mean that I have to. I can stop the contract within. I can stop the contract if I want to. So it's not. It's
It's not
not like
binding.
it's not binding. Yeah, it's not binding.
Okay.
It's not binding. So my goal, like, so these days, like I said, I'm really interested in like fashion. So I wanna start. I want to do like a fashion brand. You know. So my immediate goals right now, I want to do a fashion brand, and I want to like learn how to DJ more. So that's on the side. And then for my main job, so my main job, I work as a web developer. I want to get more experience, and then uh, and then see where I am within 2 or 3 years. If it works out well with the fashion brand, I could focus on that. If it works out well with the DJing, I could focus on that. If it works out well with the web development, so I really don't want to work in a company wherever, like where it may be like a Korean company or an American company, or I don't want to work in the long term for a company like 9 to 6, like wake up and go to work and do that. So uh, I wish I can get experience now for like 2 more years, so I could do web development free time, like freelance on my own time. So I could do web development freelance, and then I could have like my own fashion brand on the side, and then I do DJing too on the side, and then I do all this. So uh this would be in Korea. So I'm looking at least 2 more years or so in Korea. For now, I don't know yet when I'm gonna leave actually.
Hey, I like it, man. Fashion, amazing. DJing, amazing. Web developing, amazing. So those are three good industries that if you break out in any of them, you're gonna be very successful. And whenever you do decide to go back to Cameroon, that is something that would be very beneficial to the community that you came from. Amazing, man. And I wish you nothing but the best. And if there's anything that me and you can work together in, let me know, man. We can make it work.
Sure, man. Thank you so much. And I really like your hustling spirit and how I really like the fact that you actually contacted me to do this because it's so much fun, just talking about your experiences like this. And I don't know, maybe I can inspire someone or maybe someone can learn
Yep. That's the idea of this podcast. We share experiences, we share knowledge, we share information, we try to connect people. And so I want to thank you so much again, Alan, for taking the time to talk with us all the way from South Korea. I know that it's very late over there. It's like 12 o'clock for you over there, 12
Yes,
midnight, right?
yes, 12:15 a.m. right
Yep.
now.
So and then 12:15 a.m. for you, and for me right now is 11:14 a.m. from 11:14 a.m. So you're practically
Yes,
13 hours ahead of me. So you
yes,
are already seeing Sunday, and I'm still in Saturday morning.
yes, exactly.
Exactly. So once again, thank you so much. One more question before we come to an end of this episode.
Yes.
The question for you is, if you were to do something knowing that you're not gonna fail at that thing, what would that thing be? Anything. If you can change something in this world, or if you want to do something, one thing that you know that you're not gonna fail. If you do it one time, you're gonna succeed. What would that thing be?
I wanna build an online platform that's gonna help people. Like I have a lot of ideas actually, but there's a lot of problems going going on like back home right now. So what I know, like if I do that, it's gonna like help people, and I'm gonna succeed with that. Like I want to build an online platform that helps people uh, get like certain like drugs from pharmacies. So
Okay.
because it's so hard to connect the pharmacy to the patient. So
Okay.
I want to make a platform that can help get the drugs from the pharmacy into the patient to the patient using
Okay.
an online platform.
Very good, man. Very good. I love it. That's amazing. Hey, man, I'm going back to school to do my master's in public health. Maybe we could do something
Oh,
together.
sure, man, sure. Actually, I started this. This is something I started working on. It's actually I don't have a lot of time right now, but it's something I'm looking at it in the long run, like in the long future. So it's definitely something I have to go back home and and work on.
That's impressive. Hey,
Yeah,
again, Alan, thank you so much, man, for dedicating this time to talk with us.
yeah,
I wish you nothing but the best in all the adventures, in
yeah.
all
Thank
the
you.
endeavors that you're engaged in. And I know you're going to succeed because you're a hardworking guy and you're not going to
Yeah,
take no for an answer. And keep
yeah,
working hard, man. Keep improving yourself. And like I said, if I can help you with anything, man, you have my contact information. For
yeah,
anybody that wants to follow Alan and see what he's up to with his modeling and with his information that he shared on this podcast, you can follow him on his Instagram page at allan.png. Allan is spelled ALLAN dot PNG. That's how you can reach him. If you have any questions, he actually prefer you asking the questions in Korea, right?
yeah. Sure. Yeah.
In Korea, you prefer Korean or English?
If you can ask in Korean, then yeah. But if you cannot,
So
then English is good.
there you go. He prefers the questions in Korean. So ask him the questions in Koreans. Alan, thank you
Yeah.
so much again, man.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun. I didn't know I could like, talk like this for this long time, like a podcast, but it's been like really so much fun, and it's been like an experience for me. It's really inspiring. And I really like what you're doing. Like I watched your previous podcast, and it's been it's been so much fun.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
There you have it, everybody. If you're listening to this still, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening through and through. Make sure if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button so you can get this automatically downloaded the next time new episodes come out. We have a lot more experiences and stories to tell, and I cannot wait to share them with you. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Reviews are always appreciated. Thank you. I appreciate you, and let me know what you think on our Instagram at Verdad Duele Pod. Our team is here to serve you. We look forward to hearing about your successes, and maybe one day we may invite you to the studio to share. We wish you luck. The La Verdad Duele family has your back. Thank you so much.